Who is this? Hello?
Mrs. Valdon, this baby is for you because a boy should live in his father's house. Is this likely or merely credible?
Oh.
Madam? Madam?
Your Dendrobium Aphrodite has an aphid. Oh, it's just dust. Sorry. Pretty, though. Who's your florist?
Madam, is it likely?
Yes, it is likely. Dick had a Don Juan reputation when I married him.
How long were you married?
11 months. And I know what people were saying. They were saying, oh, he's marrying an Armstead. Well, I was marrying a famous author. I was Mrs. Richard Valdon. I thought we were in love. For me, there was no one but me and him.
How old was he when he died?
46.
How old are you?
Old enough. During the last year before he died, he could have had one woman or a dozen. I just don't know. Oh, is this a Carlisle? Yes, it is.
Can you get to the problem, madam?
Of course, the baby. Well, I always intended to have 2 or 3, and I just put it off. I kept putting it off. And now I do have one, and the note is correct. A child should live in his father's house. The question is Dick the father?
Phooey, never to be answered, and you know it.
Phooey, you are the best detective in the world.
The best detective in the world may be a rude tribesman with a limited vocabulary. I cannot help you, madam. No one can.
You can help me find the mother. Now, I have something here.
Please.
Glasses. Yes. Oh, here it is. The doctor said the baby is 5 months old, which means that he was born last June and conceived last fall.
It could take months. Have you arranged for custody of this child?
Oh, yes, my lawyer took care of that.
Is he aware that you have consulted me?
Yes, and he disapproves, and I don't care. It's my business. His business is just the law.
It will be necessary to get information from you and to examine the clothes that the baby arrived in. These pinholes, the note was not attached with a safety pin.
No, just an ordinary pin.
What are the odds, Mr. Goodwin, that a woman would expose a baby to a bad pin?
Say 10 to 1?
Yes, well. Were you alone in the house when the call came?
Yes. I came home from the country a day early. My staff had the weekend off. Why is that important?
Whoever did this, madam, is someone you know.
How could you know that?
If you cannot use your own brain, Mr. Goodwin will explain. Excuse me.
Well, isn't there some sort of retainer?
Yes, $1, 100, 1,000, doesn't matter.
Wolfe's mind was on the shad roe casserole slated for lunch. He and Fritz had a disagreement over the use of onion, which had never been resolved.
Mrs. Valdon, perhaps we should go to your place and retrieve the baby's clothes and, conduct the rest of the interview there.
Oh, yes, all right. Well, here we are.
Mrs. Valdon.
Ah, nice digs.
Yes, I love this house. My great-grandfather built it. One thing I know for sure is that Dick loved this house.
Mrs. Valdon, here are your invitations.
Oh, thank you, Miss Mim. Yes, right this way. We'll sit in the salon. Yeah, no. Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. In fact, buy a whole table. Sit.
Is there anyone who might have had it in for you, Mrs. Valdon?
In for me? No, but send them regrets.
Hated you enough to saddle you with a loose baby?
No, but write them a note. The Armsteads are a rather dull but responsible family. No one hates us. My only controversial hobby is killer fog.
Fog kills?
32 people in 1948. A small little coal town in Pennsylvania.
Oh, what'd they do? Get lost in the fog and fall down into the mine or something like that?
There is no humor in it.
Oh, no, none, really.
It's going to happen right here in New York City. You mark my words. It's the cars.
Yeah, I say ban them all. Ban the cars, ban the subway, ban everything. We should all walk to work.
That's what I say. Oh, there he is.
Oh.
Well, hello. Oh, I'd introduce you, but I'm not going to name him until I decide to keep him.
Ah. Hello. You know, I better not. I haven't read the instruction manual. Sorry there.
Well, I'm considering Moses, because Moses didn't know who his father was either. Miss Mims, show Mr. Goodwin to the nursery and help him pack up the clothing the baby came in.
Now?
Yes, please. Go along. Hello. You want to play the piano? Hello.
Hello, yes. I need those names now.
Oh, I told you. His best friends were Leo Bingham, Willis Krug, and Julian Haft.
No. I mean the female ones. Candidates. Look, I know it must be hard to name women that Dick might have played house with, but...
The problem is not that it's hard, Mr. Goodwin. It's that it's so easy. There's a list. You know what? I would like a martini. Would you? Is it too early or what?
Well, I might as well be sociable. Yeah, one of my functions is to understand the women we're dealing with, since Wolfe is so hopeless at it.
Oh, so it's part of your job.
Sure.
Are you an expert at it?
As some have said so. Yes. Keep playing, and I'll make some martinis. I like it 5-1. You?
Oh, of course.
There we are.
Oh, no. You can't just drink it. We must be civilized and observe a ritual. You take a sip of mine, and I take a sip of yours.
Yes, a fine old Persian custom used to foil poisonings. Yes.
What am I doing? Why did I do that?
Oh, well, you know, Mr. Wolfe says we never get to the why of anything, so...
And earlier, I almost called you Archie.
Well, my name's Archie.
Are you a hypnotist?
No?
Well, I'm not trying to flirt. I don't even know how to flirt.
You know, men and women flirt. Horses flirt, parakeets flirt. Undoubtedly, oysters flirt, but they must have some special little kind of...
Don't forget the baby's clothes when you go, Mr. Goodwin.
Was it the oysters?
The devil is this?
This is baby paraphernalia. Now, there are no laundry marks or store labels, but there is one item that might help. If you don't spot it yourself, then it may not be worth mentioning.
Did you get the names?
Yes. Would you like it verbatim?
Not if you're satisfied.
I am.
What else?
Well, there is a Monet and a Munch in the front hallway, and also an antique Saller rug.
Is it a real salon?
Yes, I believe it was. Now, I'm in bad with her, because I forgot she was an Armstead, and I'm a peasant, but she'll sleep it off.
Maybe you better report verbatim.
Oh, no, not necessary. I'm satisfied.
Any suggestions?
Yes, tell her that you've discovered that the baby is mine, and if she'll marry me, she can have it. As for the mother...
Shut up. The buttons on that garments seem inappropriate. They appear to be made of horsehair. And there's a considerable variation in size and shape. Couldn't possibly have been made by a machine.
Well, congratulations.
Should I apologize for pulling a feather from your cap?
Nah, I will split it. The brand label appears to be Little Cherub, which is located in the garment district. I'll go there and see what they know.
The garment district of New York is no place to go for a stroll. I visited 3 baby outfitters and 4 button firms asking about homemade horsehair buttons, and nobody knew and nobody cared. Then I saw a sign, Mr. Losov's Distinguished Buttons. I would have gone there first had I known.
I am searching for somebody. Kung Pop. What can you tell me about these?
Ooh. 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 Where did you find this button?
It's my line.
You a button man?
A what?
Buttons. Are you a button man?
No. See, the thing is, I found these overalls, and I was trying to...
No, let me tell you something. You listen up. I know everything there is to know about buttons. I have, in fact, the most extensive button collection in all the world. I have sold buttons to the Duchess of Windsor, the Queen of England, to the great Betty Davis, and I also like to donate buttons. I have to 5 different museums in 9 different countries. And I have never, absolutely never, met a man who could show me a button that I could not pick out immediately. Pick him out. That is, of course, until you.
All right, you listen to me. I've listened, now it's your turn. I know less about buttons than any man in the world, yet I need to know about these buttons, and you can't tell me.
Well, I admit that's true.
But you're the button man.
I am the button man. I know everything there is about buttons.
All right. Let me ask you this. Were they made by machine?
Oh, come on, don't be ridiculous. This is horsehair.
Horsehair?
Yes. Each button was made by hand. Took hours. A technique I'm not even familiar with. I'll buy it from you. Add it to my collection.
Well, I'll see if I can. I recognize a button fiend when I see one, but,
No. No.
I really must go. That's right. Easy, dude.
Well?
I just met a man who knows as much about buttons as you do about food. He said he's never seen anything like these buttons.
He said somebody must have taken hours to make each one.
Satisfactory. Oh, is there time to put an ad in tomorrow's paper, Times News and Gazette?
Well, if I hop on it, I could get all 3. If I wait, it'll be the Gazette only.
We'll place an ad in each. Bold-faced, 36-point type. $100 to be given to the first person to provide information leading to the maker by hand of white horsehair buttons, irregular in size.
By 8 a.m. the next morning, the ad had flushed out Beatrice Epps, who only had one thing on her beady little mind.
How do I know you'll pay me?
You don't. Naturally, what you tell me will have to be useful. You could tell me you knew a man in Singapore who made horsehair buttons, but now he's dead.
I've never been to Singapore.
Exactly, yes. So where'd you see them?
On a girl's blouse. She filled in at the office for a month. From Stopgap Employment Agency.
Uh-huh. Do they look anything like these?
Exactly like that. She said her aunt made them out of horsehair.
And what's her name?
I suppose I have to tell you. Anne. Her name's Anne Tenzer. You'll probably find her attractive. Everybody else did. Thanks.
Paper!
Miss Epps was right. Miss Tenzer probably aroused in many men the feelings necessary for the propagation of the species. Perhaps even Richard Valdon.
Mr. Goodwin.
Miss Tenzer? Yes. You recognize these?
Of course I recognize them. Drinks?
What do you have?
Bloody Mary.
A glass of milk for me. So?
They're made by my Aunt Ellen. Takes her forever just to make one. Winding horsehair around and around isn't much of a hobby. But there's not really much else to do in Mayapack. Don't tell me that somebody saw me wearing these. They'd barely fit.
Yes. Kind of special how I got them. Would you like to hear about it?
No.
No.
That's my one fault. I'm not really interested in anything that doesn't involve me. Now, haven't we had enough about buttons?
Sure. Let's talk about work. I collect buttons, and you work for Stopgap Employment Services. How many gaps need to be stopped?
Oh, I'm very, very busy. Very special. When a private secretary to a big executive gets married or fired by the boss's wife, I'm the one they ask for.
Because the boss's wives like you?
I'm more like revenge.
Ah.
Here you are.
All right. Here we are. So, you work for big executives. Tell me this. You ever work for a scientist or, say, a famous author?
No. They couldn't afford me.
Now, the interesting...
I got home and gave Wolfe the facts. When I finished, he said...
Satisfactory.
Then he decided that was an understatement.
Very satisfactory.
And I could use a raise.
No doubt. Get Saul now.
Why? I didn't say I'd quit if I didn't get a raise, merely that I could use one.
And I said no doubt. You will go to Mahopac. Meanwhile, Saul will learn whether Miss Tenzer gave birth to that baby. He will do so without stirring dust.
Indubitably, he is the seventh son of a seventh son.
And sadly, my friends, that is how the government has left the situation in eastern Pennsylvania. Now, last December, when a thick fog intensified by coal tar smoke covered London for 3 days, 4,703 people died. Now, an analysis of the air shows levels of sulfur dioxide and carbon monoxide, which increased whenever the temperature rose over a 4-day period. You could not see across the street. The fog was so thick. Now,
I stopped by on my way out of town to brief the client on our remarkable progress, but she was all wrapped up in fog. On her, it looked good.
deny that the fog had anything to do with the deaths.
There's a church on the one side and a restaurant on the other side. And make a left-hand turn 3 or 4 miles down the road there, you'll reach your point, okay? Fine. Good luck.
After conferring with a local sage, I found Aunt Ellen's cottage off the beaten path.
Well, what brings you out this way?
Ellen Tenzer?
Yes?
My name's Archie Goodwin. I'm in the button business. I understand you are, too. I'm particularly interested in your horsehair buttons.
Buttons. Now, why would you think that I make buttons?
Well, you'd like me better if I said it was for art's sake, but, well, I'm in the button business.
Yes, so you said. Well, I only have about 17 right now.
17, huh? Well, yeah. You don't suppose I could get a glass of water? It was a very long drive up here.
Sure, come on in.
Aunt Ellen didn't seem surprised to find a button collector on her doorstep. And when I saw Wolfe's ad on her kitchen table, I knew why.
So, how did you hear about my buttons?
The button man. It is very good water. Deep well?
All right, bub. You've had your water. Now move on.
Miss Tenzer, I just drove 60 miles.
I don't care if you drove 600 miles. I'm not going to show you my buttons, and I'm not going to talk to you about them. Now get out.
The aunt's not the mother, but she knows who put the overalls on the baby. She may be phoning that somebody right now, but that can't be helped. Now, I'm gonna go back and stake her out. We can cover her around the clock if you send out Saul, Fred, and Ori.
When will you eat?
Maybe tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
She'd left. It called for profanity, and I used some. I don't apologize. Who would have thought that I could get pleasure looking at baby clothes? For the next 18 hours, Saul Panzer, Fred Durkin, and Ori Cather, in shifts, had Ellen Tenzer's house under wraps. But nobody came.
Damn it, Ori, are you sure it was Stebbins? No, just come in. All right, that was Ori. I told him to come in because the aunt will not be coming home. She's dead. 3 men in a state police car showed up, and one of them was Pearlie Stebbins. Now, it doesn't take luck or brains to know that a homicide sergeant does not go to Putnam County looking for white horsehair buttons.
The presumption is not a certainty. Invite Lon Cone for lunch.
All right, come on. What do you want to know? I'm not here because you enjoy my company.
What do you know about a woman named Tenzer, Ellen Tenzer?
No need to be so damn roundabout, Archie. If you want to know about a murder, just say so.
So?
Okay. Ellen Tenzer, huh? Well, about 6 o'clock this morning, a cop was asked to investigate a body that was on a fire escape on 38th Street. He investigated. It was Ellen Tenzer. And she'd been strangled, and there was a piece of cord still wrapped around her throat. Happy now?
Who was she?
Well, she was a registered nurse.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
Oh, ah? Okay. Anyway, she'd inherited some property in upstate New York, Mayapack, and enough to live on, so she quit her job and started boarding babies.
Did she board illegitimate children?
I don't know. Why?
Some do.
Yeah, but why specifically asking about illegitimate?
Where did they come from?
No one knows. Why do you ask?
You know, strange. A little town like Mayapack, nobody knows.
That's right, strange, huh? Why do you ask specifically about...
Who was the last boarder?
No one knows anything except that it was a boy. Oh, and that it was a month old when it arrived and that she called it Buster.
Oh. Buster, that's something.
You done now?
Thanks.
You happy now? Good. All right, I raise. What about those buttons, fellas? Those buttons, did you advertise?
Nah.
Did you get them? Yes or no?
You would not do that if you had a trained mind like mine. See, we run an ad for buttons, and then we ask you about Ellen Tenzer. You assume there's a connection.
Yeah, logic is like that.
Not at all. No, Mr. Wolfe likes horsehair buttons for his pants.
He does, huh?
Yes. For his suspenders.
Suspenders?
Sure. Good. Huh. Well, you talk about ifs.
Futile.
I mean, if I'd stuck with her, she might still be alive. Now we have Kramer and Stebbins on our trail and my fingerprints all over her house.
You can supply no information relevant to the murder.
The hell I can't.
You were hired to find horsehair buttons, and you don't know why.
Then I'm withholding evidence. Do I name the client?
Certainly not. We're not obliged to disclose the name of a client simply because the police want to test an assumption.
I was at her house. She poured me a glass of water.
Archie, do you think I can identify the mother without learning who killed that woman?
No.
Well, then don't badger me. Bad enough without that.
Since the genius was not inclined to work, I used my first-rate detective skills to find out how much the police knew before they came to haul me away. My first stop was Ann Tenzer, who had been hauled down to headquarters and was sore.
You're not a button collector. You're Nero Wolfe's leg man, Archie Goodwin.
I'm really more of an assistant, really.
Well, it's not that you lied. That's your job. And it's not my Aunt Ellen. Whoever killed her, you didn't start it.
And still you're sore at me?
Yes. Although I'm not sure why. I am an heiress now to a creaky old cottage in Mayopac and a dog with really bad breath.
Maybe you just wanted to see my face again and you didn't know how to ask.
No, that's not it. Not precisely. But it's close.
Oh, Mr. Goodwin.
Mrs. Valdon, I take it you have not seen the evening edition.
Well, I've seen it, I just haven't read it.
Well, let me brief you. On Friday morning, I called on a woman named Ellen Tenzer. The baby had been with her in her house for 3 months.
Oh, so she's the mother.
No,
She knows who the mother is.
she probably did.
You mean she forgot?
What?
How could she forget?
Well, she didn't.
The grandmother.
No,
The aunt. The uncle. The second cousin.
she's dead.
Dead.
Yes, strangled.
Murdered.
Yeah. Now, it's almost certain that the police will find out that I was at her house, ask me why, and...
So you're saying it was my fault?
Well, listen, if I tell them that you're my client, you'll get invited downtown for a chat.
I'm responsible for a murder.
No. I was the one who left her alone, see?
Well, I sent you there.
The responsibility belongs to whoever left the baby in your vestibule, see? So don't try to claim it.
I don't like this. Murder. It's just bad. What do you mean I'm gonna be sent downtown? By the police?
That was an if, Mrs. Valdon, if we name you as the client.
Why didn't you call me Lucy?
You're pretty giddy for a girl who doesn't know how to flirt. But put it in writing and I will.
So, you've come here to tell me not to tell anyone that I've hired you. Were you followed?
Only if he was very good. Now, if you think we owe you an apology for letting a Motherhunt hatch a murder, well, here it is.
Oh, no. No. I'm the one that owes you an apology. I was so rude the other day. Oh, Lucy, that's not the word. I was such a nitwit. Oh, you're going?
Well, I've done my errand, so...
Oh. Well, then. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I came home to find Inspector Kramer and Mr. Wolfe engaged in a friendly interrogation.
My people have been all over the place. Goodwin's prints are everywhere. And if I don't get an explanation from you, I'm going to take you in and you can talk to the district attorney. Or I'm going to take you in and you can talk to the commissioner. Anyway, I'm going to take you in.
You're taking me in?
Yeah, that's right.
If you take me in, I will stand mute. I would sleep under a bridge and eat scraps before I would submit a client to official harassment.
You eating scraps?
Yes, I would.
Never
Inspector
happened.
Kramer, fancy meeting you here.
Goodwin, I'm glad you're here. I hope you're packed. Because I'm taking you downtown.
Let's go.
Go, come on, let's go.
I was in custody from 10:04 p.m. Sunday to 10:05 a.m. Monday when Nathaniel Parker, Wolfe's attorney, arrived with my bail.
Well, I see you've kept busy. I'm going upstairs. I had a 1-hour nap with a dick standing by. What's for lunch?
Sweetbreads with bechamel sauce, and chervil and truffles, watercress and beet salad, and brie.
Well, if there's enough left over, you should have some.
Archie! Archie! Before you go, if you could arrange to have Mrs. Valdon here at 2 o'clock. As we are under surveillance, she should enter through the back.
And I should resign on the spot. I'm too tired.
I told Archie that I was sorry that I was late. I had no idea that he had to wait at the back gate for me.
It was a bad start. No client has ever called him Nero, so her saying Archie meant to him that she was taking liberties or that I already had.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Mr. Goodwin and I are in a pickle, Mrs. Valdon. Ellen Tenzer is dead, and for the present, we shall leave her to the police, because we know that she didn't put the baby in the vestibule.
How do we know that?
Inference.
A nurse wouldn't use a bear pin.
Yes. Now, the point is that if we assume that Ellen Tenzer was killed to prevent her from revealing the origin of the baby, and we continue to conceal your connection to her, then Mr. Goodwin and I are withholding evidence of a homicide, and that is a felony.
So you assume that is why she was killed?
It would be vacuous not to.
Why?
Focus on the point, if you can. If we continue to conceal what we know to prevent you from being badgered by the police, then it won't do to merely find out who the mother is. We must also discover who the murderer is.
Why?
Archie.
I don't want to have anything to do with the murderer.
You don't, Mrs. Valdon, but we do. Look, what he's saying is if you drop us, we're gonna have to open up to the cops. And then you'll have cops, you'll have reporters on your doorstep asking you, your friends, your family, all about the baby, you see? But if you stick with us, well, cops will never have to know anything about your connection to Ellen Tenzer, provided you don't say anything. Not if you're no longer a client.
Oh, I am. Of course I am.
Archie!
Oh, Mrs. Valdon, Lucy, prefers us over the cops. It's good for the self-esteem.
I can proceed.
Oh, yes, please.
Well, we shall need your help, Mrs. Valdon. I would like an expanded list of the names of the women who might have consorted with your husband last fall. I want to meet with 4 men who knew more than you did about his escapades.
Well, that would be, Leo, Julian, Willis, and I assume Manny Upton.
Yes. And I have your promise that if you are contacted by the police, you will stand mute.
Yes.
One more question. Where were you last Friday evening after 8 o'clock?
The night she was murdered?
Yes.
You can't mean that.
You should be gratified that I consider it imaginable.
You have a funny notion of what gratifies people, Mr. Wolfe. I dined with the governor to discuss Killer Fogg and was home for the 10 o'clock feeding.
Are you referring to the London event?
Yes.
Oh.
Mrs. Valdon thinks that the air has somehow become poisonous, see?
Probably is.
Archie, it is sulfur dioxide. We are going to poison ourselves to get home from the office 5 minutes sooner. Now, to address your query, Mr. Wolfe, it is utter nonsense to suspect me.
Nothing is nonsense concerning the vagaries of human conduct. Good day, Mrs. Valdon.
Good day.
For the next 2 hours, we arranged a very different social event from the ones Mrs. Valdon was used to. I called her Lucy once, and she called me Archie twice.
had a lovely afternoon.
As did I.
Goodbye.
Bye. The party has been arranged for 9 o'clock.
You are aware that I am not going to ask you what was on that piece of paper that woman handed you.
Well, now it can be mentioned. See, she wrote in longhand, "My dearest Archie, Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. Your loving Lucy," in case you're wondering what else.
Shut up.
Fritz, you don't dust.
The party began on time. I profiled them neatly for Wolfe and will do so for you. Manuel Upton, the editor of Distaff magazine, discovered Dick Valdon and published his first stories. Willis Krug was Valdon's agent and anxious to get back to work. The distinguished Julian Haft published Mr. Valdon's novels and claimed to be his good friend. Leo Bingham was Dick Valdon's oldest friend and fellow connoisseur of the female of the species.
Incredible, serving this elixir offhand to a stranger, my God.
In my house, a guest is a guest, stranger or not. You are a radio producer, are you not?
I'm glad of the chance to meet you. I've often thought you'd have enormous possibilities for radio. Now that I've heard your voice, my God, it would be stupendous.
This is the way it goes, Mr. Wolfe. Mass culture. He's interested in your voice. I'm interested in your mind. Have you ever written a book?
Unthinkable, Mr. Haft. Nothing corrupts a man so deeply as writing a book. I wouldn't presume.
Can we get started? I've got calls to make.
It's simple. Your friend, Lucy Valdon, is being blackmailed. She has received several anonymous letters from a woman claiming to have been intimate with her husband. What I request from you is a list of every woman with whom you think that possible. Mrs. Valdon has told me that you would be of help. More brandy, Mr. Bingham?
Payola. He pours. The bribe. He sips. But what a bribe.
What does this lover say exactly?
That would violate a firm assurance that I've given my client.
Hell, I'm hooked. I'm bribed.
Yes.
I'm against anyone sending anonymous letters, no matter who. I'll call in later with my list. Can I go now?
You should be looking into that baby she has up there. If you don't, you're gonna hash it up. Lucy Valdon wants a favor from me. She can ask me.
Thank you for coming, gentlemen.
Well, I don't mind. It might take some time. I'm a very busy man.
Upton was the only one who refused. And when the lists were gathered and cross-referenced, we had 148 names. And so, conceived by Wolfe, executed by Goodwin, and fueled by the client's hard-earned inherited cash, the great Motherhunt began. When the results were in, 4 mystery babies had been accounted for, and 7 women who had been away in June had been tracked down. Ori had flown to the Riviera and Fred to Arizona. When Saul phoned in to report that he had closed the last gap 26 days and $8,670 later, we were precisely where we had been when we started. Nowhere. There were, however, two significant developments. The first was that my relationship with the client had grown increasingly cordial. When a client is shelling out $300 a day and getting nothing for her dough, the least she can do is drop in and say hello. I discovered that as a dancer, she was no slouch. She was good enough to take to the Flamingo Club. The second development was that Lucy came within an ace of quitting as a client. Kramer put 2 and 2 together and got 4 and sent Stebbins to do the counting.
Yes?
Sergeant Stebbins, homicide, New York City Police Department. Is Mrs. Valdon at home?
It's all right, Eve. I'll talk to the gentleman. May I help you?
Mrs. Valdon? Sergeant Stebbins, New York City Police Department, homicide. Did you know an Ellen Tenzer?
What business is that of yours?
I'm on the people's business.
Well, do you have a writ or a warrant or whatever it is that you need?
Do you have all the papers for that little foundling you took in?
Of course.
I gotta warn you, Mrs. Valdon. If we make the connection between you and Tenzer and Nero Wolfe on our own, our next interview is gonna be downtown at headquarters.
Good. I've always wanted to see them. My grandfather's company poured the foundations. Good day.
After Pearlie left, the Queen stormed out of her castle and paid a visit to the peasant.
It was such an intrusion. It was rude. Oh, I'm so confused, Archie. You said you were going to protect me.
You want to hold hands? Fine. You want to be a huffy client? Fine. But it's not fair for a huffy client to call me Archie.
I'm not huffy.
Crabby.
I'm not crabby.
Irritable. All right, the point is this. Mixing personal and business is not good for either one of us.
Don't be silly, Archie. We've been mixing business and personal for over a month now.
You promised, Mr. Wolfe?
They know about the baby, and they know that I'm your client.
Are you going to keep your mouth shut?
He came to my home and started asking me questions.
Lucy, are you? I won't be joining you for coffee. I have a date of sorts, and I know we're expecting Kramer, but he almost never comes after dinner. He'll probably be here tomorrow at 11:02 anyway, so.
Where can you be reached?
You can reach me at Mrs. Valdon's number.
She was just here this afternoon.
Yes, she was shying a little, you know. She wanted some assurance that you could stay in the saddle, and I supplied it.
Is she in fact in a pucker?
She just wants to make sure you're not going to pull out, and she asked me to report what you said.
Flummery.
Great. I'll tell her that.
I was off by 3 minutes. Kramer arrived at 11:05 the next morning.
What's the matter? You blocked?
Yes.
No. The hell you are.
You deny that there is a direct connection between Goodwin seeing Ellen Tenzer and the murder.
No. Nor affirm it. I don't know, Mr. Kramer. Neither do you.
Nuts. You can add just as well as I can. You've been spending Lucy Valdon's money like it's water. I don't know what Panzer, Durkin, and Cather are doing, but I know what they're not doing. They're not investigating the death of Ellen Tenzer. Therefore, you already know who killed her.
As reasoning, that is admirably specious. But I give you my word, Mr. Kramer, I haven't the slightest notion who killed Ellen Tenzer.
Your word.
My word.
And what the hell are Goodwin and his monkeys doing?
They're not investigating a homicide.
What time did you leave Lucy Valdon's house last night?
What does that got to do with the price of eggs in Reykjavik?
Well, the 8 to 2 man says you entered at 9 and never came out. And my 2 to 8 man says you didn't come out either. You spent the night there, Goodwin.
This was all Wolfe needed. First, a woman passes a note to me under his nose. Now Kramer was taking notes under my window.
What night?
Last night.
Oh, actually, Mrs. Valdon and I, we were feeling somewhat high, and we decided to go dance on the sidewalk. So we went outside at about 1:45. About 2:15, she went back inside. I left, and both your men missed me. How do you like that?
You're a liar, and you're pig-headed. And I want to know the real reason why Mrs. Valdon is spending a fortune on some stray baby and keeping her lip buttoned about it. And if I don't get the answer from you, by God, I'm gonna get it from her.
After all this? After I have indulged you to the utmost? You dare molest my client?
You're damn right I would. I don't care what her name is.
Kramer's bark was worse than the DA's bite. They only kept Lucy downtown for 4 hours, but for an Armstead, that was enough, and she went to recover at her country cottage. She took her baby, the nurse, the maid, and the cook, and me. It was a modest little cottage with just enough room for the Russian army.
Won't Mr. Wolfe object to you being here with me, the client?
Yes, but he can't fire me.
Why not?
Because if I wasn't around, he'd be sleeping under a bridge and eating scraps. He hates to work, and half my salary comes from poking him.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah, see, when I poke hard, he asks for suggestions, then avoids work by dismissing my ideas. So, my strategy this weekend was to prod him along and make myself unavailable for him to scowl at.
You think it'll work?
I will see in a few hours. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, you should have joined us this weekend. What a weekend! Tramping the moors, the fresh air, the late night fires, crackling as they were. The beautiful...
Get your notebook.
Thus started the second stage of the Motherhunt, and it was elaborate, even by Wolfe's standards.
But I don't want to go back to town. It's not so much the going back I object to, it's publicity, period. I'm an
You're an Armstead. You're an Armstead. Yes, yes, I know. But I thought you were tired of being an Armstead, and that's why you've taken up with a raffish character like me.
True.
Yes, true. So.
Oh, right.
All right, great. I am going to see you tomorrow. I'm going to go plant a story now. All right, see you at a Sunday feature with a good, wholesome title, Women Like Babies. Mostly pictures. What text there is, we'll talk about how Lucy Valdon, the beautiful widow to Richard Valdon, famous author, has taken a baby into her luxurious home. How she has hired a nurse who is so devoted to the little lambkin, she takes it out to Washington Square Park every morning at 8:30 to enjoy the beauties of nature.
Lambkin?
Angel pie, schmooky. I'm not writing it, you are.
Goodwin, you got the nerve of a one-legged man at an ass-kicking contest. Get out of here.
That's not only vulgar, it's irrelevant.
Ellen Tenzer was murdered because of that baby. You want us to put a spotlight on that? The next day the baby's snatched, and then the Gazette gets blamed for it? Pasadena.
Did I mention to you that the nurse will be a detective? That's right, Sally Corbett, the best female op around aside from Doll Bonner, and that Fred Durkin, Saul Panzer, and Ori Cather will be watching her back.
Huh. Who killed Ellen Tenzer?
That's why we're doing this. I mean, that's the beauty of this.
Huh. All right. The picture... I'm talking to somebody. Can you wait a minute? The picture deadline for Sunday's Thursday, 6 o'clock. What do you owe me?
Dinner.
What do you owe me?
An exclusive.
Get out of here. What do you want?
I spent the next day of the mother hunt with Sally Corbett, who had made it necessary for me to revise my prejudice against female ops. And I held it against her, like Wolfe held it against Jane Austen for proving women could write.
Did you ever find my hat?
I don't remember you in a hat. Well, here we go. I tried the fish islands, but the aperture is too big. So I'm trying the 16mm, but I'm concerned about the distortion. The remote cable shutter release works like a charm.
Yes, you know you say the most poetic things. How long before you're ready for the shoot?
Just gotta get glamorous first.
Women love babies. It's a matter of taste. I think would have preferred women like babies, a little more subtle. Have a look at that.
Oh, dear. Lucy Armstead in the Gazette. Shocking. I've already had calls from 3 of my friends, Uncle Wimmy and my sister in Boston.
Uncle Wimmy?
Oh, yes. He's a little touched in the head. Great storyteller, though. Croissant.
Yeah.
Yes. Tomorrow, don't you have diapers to wash or something?
With the teddy bear wired and Sally made to look like a nurse, we were ready for anyone who wanted to look at the baby. What they didn't know was that we were looking back, hoping one of them was the mother.
The camera is concealed in the teddy bear. You see the eye?
Yes.
It's a lens.
Yes, remote control.
Yes.
I got the focusing down pat yesterday. Anyone looking at the baby from 6 yards or less is going to get shot in focus. Well, I tried the 16mm lens, but because of the distortion...
Madam, if you would focus. Mrs. Valdon recognize any of these?
No. We're waiting for reports from her husband's friends.
How much did this contraption cost me?
3,000, between 3,000 and 4,000.
The beauty of this teddy bear is that it could have been the right eye, but Sally figured that if it was the left eye, because people tend to kind of look into a baby, you know, like that.
That's ridiculous.
The teddy bear pictures were shipped to Dick's 3 friends, Julian, Willis, and Leo, to see if they could spot one of his playmates.
Don't recognize any of them. All right. Nope, not a one. Let's hope today's crop is better.
Today's crop was a lot better. A woman arrived in a cab and seemed to know exactly why she was there.
Wait, she took a cab there to see the baby? Yeah. Well, let's go find the hacky.
If you cannot abide onion, you must have something to cut the oil.
Parsley. Sorrel.
Ah.
Congratulations. Your theory that a woman who had a baby 6 months ago might want to see what it looks like now? It was sound. 2 to 1, we have hooked the mother.
Oh, satisfactory. How many leaves?
I would think about 1 per serving.
1.
Monday morning's crop was 3 rolls, 26 exposures altogether, and one of them was worth its weight in rubies.
That's her.
Now, if I may, I'm going to take that to Mrs. Valdon, see if she knows her. You can reach me in her number, and you are to stay out of my desk.
After the strain of appearing in the press, I thought it would cheer the client up to know the mother hunt might be over.
Carol Mardis. I should have known.
I haven't seen you beat until now.
Dick said it was all in the past. But when they were together, you could still see it. She and Dick. They weren't tame.
Yeah, but it ended.
Yes. Well, when she got Manny Upton to take Dick's stories, Manny made her a fiction editor. Then she was with Manny. She left Manny to marry Willis Krug. Well, that didn't last either.
Now, she wasn't on your list.
Well, I didn't think of her. I mean, not with a baby. She told me when she was married to Willis that she got pregnant and got rid of it.
Now, if she didn't want a baby, why would she?
Because it was Dick's. Oh, I am beat, Archie. Carol Mardis.
Carol Mardis was absent from her job at the distaff for nearly 6 months last year on vacation in Sarasota, Florida.
Colonel Wolfe's office, Archie Goodwin speaking. Yes. Are you sure? Well, all righty. Thank you very much. Well, Krug just made it unanimous, despite the fact that all of them knew Carol Mardis. None of them could pick her out of a pile.
She must inspire either great fear or the instinct to protect.
I think she just got her hooks in deep.
Continue, Saul.
On June 16th, she was admitted to Sarasota General Hospital under the name of Clara Waldron. Gave birth to a baby boy.
Satisfactory.
So, that's the end of the mother hunt.
No, it is not. It could be, but not for that woman, the dead one, the one who gave you a drink of water.
Well, if Carol Mardis is the mother, then she either killed her or knows who did.
How much of Mrs. Valdon's money have we spent already?
Around 14 grand.
Phew. You will see Carol Mardis.
I won't. No, you will. I've seen Ellen Tenzer, I've seen Ann Tenzer, and I've seen Mrs. Valdon 20 times to your 1.
Yes, you have.
Nero Wolfe's office, Archie Goodwin speaking.
You're Archie Goodwin?
Right.
You may have heard my name. Carol Mardis.
Carol Mardis. Yes, I have heard your name.
When the doorbell rang later that day, I finally saw the mother in the flesh. And my first impression was that if Richard Valdon played marbles with this when he had Lucy, he was cuckoo.
I understand inquiries are being made about me. Here in New York and also in Florida.
It gratifies me to meet you, madam. I have been seeking you for 6 weeks.
I'm in the phone book.
I didn't know that. You went to a great deal of trouble to keep this baby.
Baby? What baby?
Archie, the picture.
What is this?
There were cameras attached to the baby carriage in Washington Square Park. On June 16th, under the name of Clara Waldron, you gave birth to a child at Sarasota General Hospital.
My God, so that's why she did that. I knew she couldn't have thought of it herself. You did it.
No, I suggested it. Do you know Mr. Leo Bingham?
You know I do.
Do you know Mr. Julian Haft?
Yes.
And you know Willis Krug. You were married to him. We showed these three gentlemen those photographs. None of them identified you. Is one of them the father of your baby?
No.
Is Mr. Richard Valdon the father of this child? Will you answer me, madam?
No.
I advise you to. Further inquiries will reveal your renewed intimacies with him last year. Did you leave the baby in the vestibule at Mrs. Valdon's house on 11th Street? Will you answer, madam?
No.
Where were you on the evening of May 20th?
None of your business.
Where were you the night Ellen Tenzer was killed?
Well, that last question was a little, direct.
If she is the killer, then it was well to inform her that we have connected the baby to Ellen Tenzer.
Yeah, and it's well to remember that if Kramer connects Ellen Tenzer to Carol Martis, we lose our licenses.
Take Mrs. Valdon to the country. If you're anchored here, you'll badger me and we'll squabble. But come back this evening.
What about checking on Carol Martis for May 20th?
No! A jackass could do that. Have I no imagination? Am I a dolt? Have I no wit?
I'm not afraid of heights, and as you know, I love elephants. We're gliding along at about 3 feet on this beautiful savanna. That's what they call them, a savanna.
What else did Carol say?
Uh-huh.
Carol Martis.
I've given it to you word for word twice. Okay, so we're on the savanna, and we're hovering about 3 feet over, and there's this herd, see, of elephants, and they can run very fast. Not as fast as rhinos, but they can run very, very...
What was she wearing?
What was she wearing?
Yes.
Does that have some bearing on the question of whether Richard Valdon is the father? You just what?
I just wanted to know what you thought of her.
You mean, did I find her attractive?
No.
Okay, so there we were on the savannah. Now, rhinoceroses, they're very fast.
Did you?
Did I what? Did I find her attractive?
Did you find her attractive? No. I don't want to know. Please go on with the story.
Okay, so we're on the savannah. You know, we're kind of traveling around, hovering and everything. I let it slide. No man with any sense assumes that a woman's words mean to her exactly what they mean to him. No word from upstairs?
No, Archie.
I guess I'm gonna have to poke. Nero Wolfe's kitchen?
Archie, it's Saul. Are you listening to the radio?
The radio, no. No, I was brooding.
And I'm bad news.
Yes.
Yeah, Saul just phoned with an item from the 8:30 news. The body of Carol Martis was found in an alley by a cop, strangled with a cord around her neck, just like Aunt Ellen.
No.
Yes.
Theodore, good morning. I will not be with you in the plant rooms this morning.
Where are you bound for?
Plant rooms, of course.
Listen, Kramer shows up here, we can no longer say we have no evidence in a murder because now the Motherhunt has caused 2 murders.
Phoy.
Wolfe went off to his plants. I phoned Lon Cohn for details. Carol Martis was murdered less than a block from her ex-husband's apartment. Her employer came to identify her. As soon as I knew the facts, I headed for the cottage. I didn't want Lucy to find out from the radio.
No!
Okay, it's tough. It's damn tough. All the ifs. Yeah, but now there are risks, see? Do you want to turn loose?
No. I don't want to turn loose.
You don't?
The man who killed them put the baby in my vestibule, didn't he?
Yes.
Then I want Nero Wolfe to get him.
The cops will get him sooner or later.
I want Nero Wolfe to get him.
All right. He will. And I'm gonna go back and help him. All right? I just had an idea. I have one a year, you know. I may be walking by your house and feel like dropping in. May I have a key? "999 women out of 1,000 would have asked me why."
I came home to find Wolfe waiting for me. A party had been arranged in my absence.
Who the hell do you think you are?
Sit down.
I asked you a question.
Sit down.
By God, if you don't answer me, I...
In my house, I do the bowling. Now, it saves time to have all three of you here together because I wish to ask each of you the same question. As a preamble, you should know that there were no anonymous letters.
I knew it. I knew it.
It did seem odd.
Mrs. Valdon hired me to learn who her baby's mother was.
I knew it.
Why did none of you put Carol Martis on the lists you were asked to produce?
Carol, she's dead.
She is indeed, yes. You all know her. I mean, her picture was among those I sent to you on Tuesday. Why did none of you identify it? A conspiracy of silence? When Carol Martis was here yesterday.
She was here.
Did she say she was the mother of the baby?
In words, no, but it is indubitable. And now, with her death, it is also indubitable that she told some other person, call him X, of her conversation with me. And that X, fearing she would disclose his involvement, killed her.
This is fantastic.
I presume that you wish the murderer of Carol Martis be brought to justice, as do I. I would prefer not to abet Inspector Kramer's efforts to find the malignant wretch, because I wish to name him myself. To that end, I have questions to ask. Will you answer them?
Well, Carol and I were married for exactly 18 months, and... well, there were times I could have strangled her myself if I had it in me.
Carol Martis was a fascinating, aristocratic tramp to Carol.
This is so distressing. To even be asked.
She made it plain. She married me because she wanted to go tame.
She could have had me by snapping her fingers, but there was a difficulty. She belonged to my good friend, Dick Valdon.
She stayed tame for 3 or 4 months. Although with her, you never could tell.
Belonged, that's not the right word. Carol belonged to no one.
I just don't see her with a baby. But if she had one, Dick Valdon's the father.
So who did she turn to for help? You, Julian? She always said you were the one man she could go to dinner with and then go home and read manuscripts.
I suppose I should be flattered, Leo. Your thought that Carol considered me worthy of her confidence. And of course she didn't.
Did you kill Carol Martis?
Oh, for God's sake, no!
Certainly.
No, of course not. Why?
Gentlemen, we may not have mutual trust, but we have a mutual interest. In any case, I am obliged to you on behalf of my client.
All right, boss. Now, I call you boss because I know it irritates you, but that's part of my job to irritate you. Now, either you call Kramer right now and empty the bag, or I will.
Impossible. No, the murderer has dared me with flagrant impudence, and it is I, not the police, who will be the instrument of his doom.
Yeah.
Go, Wolf.
Kitchen.
Come on, Wolf. Open up. I know you're in there. Right, open this door.
Archie, the coat. Mr. Kramer is at the front door. I cannot speak with him without revealing that which I do not want him to know. Put a chain bolt on the door. Archie and I have gone. You don't know when we'll return. If he returns with a search warrant, you'll have to admit him, but tell him nothing.
But the Chateau.
Go.
You realize this is the last day of the season? There will be no more after this?
Yes, yes.
Must it be a hotel?
No, I had the idea we might need a dugout, so I asked Miss Valdon for a key to her house. It's 2 miles that way.
We'll stop on the way for accoutrement.
Easy.
4 cheeses, roast beef, sturgeon, anchovies.
Wolfe knew there was only one way to get home to his orchids, and his chair, and his unfinished book. Why wasn't he working?
You're playing house. Look, sir, there's times to be eccentric, and there's times when one must put their mind to the matters at hand.
Archie, tomorrow is Sunday, and we're boxed up here. We can't even change our socks. Move that plate.
Why?
Just get it out of the way. Now, despite all this, I am considering Mrs. Valdon. I want you to ask her to come here this evening alone. And since you're fuming, get Saul here tomorrow morning.
Right, what for?
I am considering Ellen Tenza's niece. Anna, is it?
Yes.
If I properly understood her métier, she replaces office workers who are temporarily absent.
That's right, it was called stopgap. I'll be damned, I'll be damned. I should have thought of that myself.
You were too busy fuming.
I wasn't fuming.
Oh, yes, you were.
No, you can't say I was fuming.
Yes, you were.
I was hardly fuming.
You were clearly fuming.
I wasn't fuming.
One cannot think if one fumes.
Do you have enough there, by the way?
Here, have some corned beef. You like corned beef?
Oh, no. I wouldn't want to.
Some wonderful mustard there. Olives, anchovies, artichoke, cheese and crackers. You like crackers, olives.
Only caught a piece of it, right up the middle.
Run. You gotta run. Pick up the ball, pick up the ball. Yes. That's it. That's it. No!
Well, aren't you a cozy pair?
You're astonished that your house is not a mess with 2 men loose in it, aren't you?
You are conceited. But I like you anyway.
How was the governor?
You know, he asked about you.
Oh, yes.
He missed you.
Madam, I thank you heartily for this haven.
Well, I hope, sir, that you've been quite comfortable.
I have never been more uncomfortable in my life. No reflection on your hospitality is intended, but Mr. Goodwin and I are in a pickle.
Again?
I need to see your husband's friends. Can you get them here tomorrow without revealing my presence? Mr. Upton might need some persuading, but he is essential. And Mr. Kramer, it would be good to have him here. Do you like eggs? Confound it, are eggs comical?
Well, no.
Do you know how to scramble eggs, Mrs. Valdon?
Of course I do.
To use Mr. Goodwin's favorite locution, 1 will get you 10 that you don't. I will prepare scrambled eggs for you tomorrow morning for breakfast. You tell me 40 minutes before you're ready.
40 minutes.
Yes, I knew you didn't know. If you're tired, aren't you? You should go to bed.
Well, Mr. Wolfe, you must be exhausted.
Oh, yes. What, with all the eggs you gotta cook tomorrow morning?
No, I'm not. A good book, a good chair, satisfactory, madam.
Good morning.
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 Good morning.
Sleep well?
Oh, yes, I did, yes.
Smells delicious.
There we are.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I have got to admit, these are right up there with Fritz's. I'm gonna have to tell him.
I guess I didn't know how to scramble an egg.
Of course, 40 minutes is more time than one could expect a housewife to spend scrambling eggs, but it's impossible to do it to perfection in any less.
Now I know. The best I've ever had, really.
Salt. Excuse me.
You know, I read something which might interest you. It's a monograph by R.P. Armstead on the acidic effect of London fog on the leaves of flowering plants.
Yes, well, my uncle published it under his name.
R.P. Armstead did not write it.
No, I did.
You.
I wanted it to be taken seriously.
Well, Saul.
I spoke with Fritz. There were 2 homicide dicks camped out in your office, smoking cigars.
Why don't you give Saul Tenzer's address?
Never better. Oh, hello, Manny. Won't you come in? The others are here.
Others? What is all this, Lucy? Who is this man?
He works for Nero Wolfe.
You still involved with that fat fool?
Hey! This way, sir.
Now, wait a minute!
You know, I keep thinking tomorrow I'll no longer be a client. No more business relations.
Yeah, well, that's why I've made a reservation at the Flamingo Club, so the whole world can see how you can dance.
Are you flirting with me, Archie?
Mrs. Valdon?
Mr. Goodwin.
Panzer, what are you doing here? Whose little party is this?
Mine.
Arrest him. Them. That is a formal demand. They have me here against my will.
Don't be a donkey. I'm here to name a murderer. Mr. Kramer knows that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, come on, Wolf. Let's get on with it. I haven't got all day.
When Carol Mardis needed to get rid of her baby, she enlisted the help of a friend, a man. Let us call him X.
Make it Z. X is overworked.
It was a fatal mistake, for X was one of the few who had been denied her intimate favors, and he resented it.
Such purple prose.
When she told him that Richard Valdon was the father, he indulged himself in a prank. He left the baby and a note in Mrs. Valdon's vestibule.
God, what a story this is. Is anyone getting it down?
When Ellen Tenzer communicated to X that we were on his trail, he strangled her. The prank was permissible, but the threat of its disclosure was not. After her talk with me, Miss Mardis did what Ellen Tenzer had done. She was probably scornful.
Yeah. Blah, 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 blah.
Now, wait a minute. Are you saying this is the same baby that was boarded by Ellen Tenzer?
Yes, I see this won't do. I must name him, Archie. This is Ann Tenzer, the niece of Ellen Tenzer. She works for an employment service and fills temporary vacancies at the senior executive level. Miss Tenzer, look around. Is there anyone in this room who you have ever worked for?
Oh. Hello, Mr. Haft. He's the president of Parthenon Press.
Yes.
Is this one of your famous dramas, Mr. Wolfe?
You don't remember me, Mr. Haft? I think it was the last 2 weeks in June and the first week in July.
I've heard of your tactics, and I'm not putting up with them.
Sit down. Did you discuss your Aunt Helen's work with Mr. Haft?
Well, I must have, because it was last January that he called me to see if my Aunt Ellen still boarded babies. Did that work out, Mr. Haft?
She's lying.
Do you contradict her? Do you say she lies?
No, I don't say she lies. I say she's mistaken. She mistook me for someone else.
Pearl, either acknowledge the facts and call her a liar, or tell me the truth.
I called you a liar!
And you are a dunce. Mr. Kramer, ask Mr. Upton if Carol Modest told him who helped dispose of the baby. He was her employer. He would not allow her a 6-month vacation without asking why.
Julian, I'm sorry, but you can't expect me to...
God. Oh, God, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. Oh, God, oh, God. Oh, God, oh, God. Oh, God.
Mrs. Veldon, you have indulged me.
Wolfe saw that Kramer was about to blow his top, so he told Lucy to go upstairs and barricade herself inside her tower. Otherwise, she'd be spending the night downtown with the rest of us peasants.
Oh,
Mr. Haft, you are a malignant, impudent worm. But now that I have exposed you, I offer advice. Go prepare your defense. There must be traces, letters, canceled checks, a stray hair in your car. It's a simple matter to produce evidence when you know who you are looking for. Well, go.
You know damn well he's not going. Nobody is.
Good God, this is brutal.
All of you. I'm sending for cars. I'm taking you all down to the district attorney's office. Especially you. Never leave your house, huh? Well, now that you left it, you'll go back when I say so. We've had our little triumph. Let's go.
Mr. Kramer, I realize that this is now your moment of triumph, but don't you want to take the murder along with you?
All right, get him. Come on. Love the food where you're going.
All right, let's go. Everybody out of here. Come on, come on, come on. Go, go.
It took 8 hours to sort things out, but as soon as he made the case, Wolfe returned to the brownstone, got into bed, and didn't emerge for 4 days.